Welcome to CSDE Policies for Lost Links Online Administration Training. In Connecticut, students in grades kindergarten through 12, identified as English learners, multilingual learners, are expected to participate in the Lost Links testing during the testing window. And this year, the testing window is January 5th, 2026 through March 6th, 2026. This includes students who are transitioning to a post-high school program for 18 to 22-year-olds, but are still registered as grade 12 students. ELACs will need to work closely with district staff to identify students placed outside the district. These students are included in the student management system, and districts determine how these students will be tested. Testing ELs, MLs on the Lost Links is the responsibility of the reporting districts because they're ultimately held accountable for these students. Online testing is not allowed outside the state of Connecticut. Out-of-state students need to take the test on paper. The ELAC needs to order a paper copy for those students using the accommodated paper form available on the Connecticut DRC website. That should be ordered no later than February 6th, 2026. DRC will ship the materials to the Connecticut district. Then the ELAC collaborates with the out-of-state contact to conduct a test administration within an appropriate window. Districts must return all completed paper tests to DRC for scoring by February 27th, 2026. Paper test forms submitted beyond this date will not be scored. A list of students enrolled in APSEPs based on the October PSIS collection will be provided to ELACs by November 21st, 2025. For planning and communication purposes, you should have access to this list, and these students are included in the DRC student management system. In Connecticut, students are rostered nightly into the DRC Insight portal using a file upload from the Public School Information System, PSIS. The first file upload will happen in mid-November, so students are rostered when the portal opens on December 8th, 2025. The nightly upload will start during the testing window. To be able to see your students in the system, make sure students are identified as ELML and are reported in the state database. Check your student demographics. Only students identified as special education or Section 504 and PSIS are eligible for accommodations. Do not add students manually to the Insight roster, as this causes possible errors in data. All students must be rostered using this automatic nightly file upload. Again, if the student is correctly in PSIS, then they will be rostered to the DRC Insight portal by us. If you notice errors, check the entries in PSIS, or you can contact the CSDE Performance Office. These are the important dates for this year's administration of the Lost Links. A list of students enrolled in APSEPs based on the PSIS collection will be provided to ELACs on November 21st, 2025. Insight will be open for ELACs beginning December 8th, 2025. At this point, ELACs can begin entering accommodations manually for each student who has an approved accommodation within their finalized and implemented plan in CTSEDS for the current grade of enrollment. We have provided detailed information on entering accommodations in the Accessibility Guidelines training video, which will be posted to the Connecticut DRC Lost Links webpage. It's imperative that students who are eligible for the alternate assessments have a completed Connecticut Alternate Assessment System eligibility form in their finalized and implemented IEP within the CTSEDS platform to ensure that they're rostered to the correct assessment. If they're eligible for the alternate assessment system, the student would be administered the CALP and not the Lost Links. If the student doesn't have a finalized and implemented IEP that includes this completed eligibility form by December 22nd, 2025, then the student might be rostered incorrectly to the Lost Links. So we will repeat this throughout the training, but if you have a student that has a PPT or a 504 plan meeting scheduled after December 22nd, please hold all testing for that student until the updated IUP or 504 plan is implemented and finalized. This also applies to students taking the lost links, as accommodations and supports may change based on the student's current learning profile. It's important ELACs work in collaboration with the 504 coordinator and special education teams to review students' accommodations and any upcoming meetings. There's also a small group of students who may not be able to participate in a specific tested domain due to disability. For example, some English learners, multilingual learners may also have a primary disability category of deaf or hard of hearing and are unable to access the listening test on the lost links due to this disability. Similarly, some ELs, MLs with an IUP or 504 plan may be nonverbal, non-speaking, or unintelligible. And due to their disability, even when provided assistive technology or augmentative and alternative communication supports, may not be able to participate in the speaking subtest. To communicate to the CSDE about these students, the ELAC will submit the student-specific information using the domain exemption form between November 7th and December 19th. Accommodated paper forms must be received in time to test the students and return the materials, which is February 27th, 2026. This is before the end of the window to allow for time to process the forms and score them. As we did last year, DRC will create test sessions for all schools within each district in 2026. The process will start with the first PSIS student file submitted in November 2025 and will continue through the testing window. DRC will create one test session per school and per grade. All students will be added to the corresponding test session with all 4 Lost Links domains already selected. New or updated students will be added to existing test sessions during the testing window. So can districts edit any of the test session information? Yes. ELACs can modify test sessions created by DRC. ELACs can add test sessions, but it's strongly recommended that ELACs use DRC created test sessions to make sure all students are assigned 4 domains for testing. Each student participating in the Lost Links must meet each of the following components of the eligibility criteria for each applicable subtest on the Lost Links to be eligible to receive accommodations. The student must be identified as ELML in PSIS, and the student must be identified as a student with disabilities with a finalized and implemented IEP or Section 504 plan in CTSETs. And the need for any accommodation must be documented in the IEP or the Section 504 plan for the grades that span the duration of the plan, and they are used regularly for instruction and assessment. And the student requires one or more of the allowable accommodations described in the Lost Links Test Administration Manual in Appendix C. Please work with your district special education staff and 504 coordinator to ensure that accurate CTSETs information is represented for your ELML students with disabilities. And the CSDE has posted a detailed explanation of the accessibility guidelines in a training video and scripted PDF that will be posted to the Connecticut DRC Lost Links webpage. We all know that students will move between schools in the same district during the testing window. As soon as the student is registered in PSIS in the same district, but in a new school, then the student is rostered in that new school and in the DRC Insight portal. The student's new information should be available in the Insight portal within 48 hours of the update in PSIS. The ELAC should check the student's profile in the DRC Insight portal and look for any existing tickets assigned to that student. Last year, we had over 25 students who were tested twice as they moved between schools in the same district. So please be sure to review the student's test-taking status. If the student started taking one subtest, the student must finish taking the same test with the same test ticket and all remaining subtests in the test session created at the previous school. The test ticket should securely be moved from one school to another so the student can resume testing using that original test ticket. If this doesn't occur, the student will not receive an overall score and will not be eligible to exit ELML status. It should be known that test results for the student will remain at the previous school where the test session and the test ticket were created in the DRC Insight portal. However, their final results will follow the student in the Insight portal. If the student hasn't started any testing, they can be placed in a new test session at the new school and just begin testing. In this situation, test results for the student would be reported in the new school where the test session and test ticket were created in the Insight portal. When a student is registered in PSIS in a new district and subsequently in a new school, the student is rostered in the new district and school in the DRC portal. If a site has a new student from a different district, we ask that you first contact the ELAC from the original district to see if the student has started testing and which subtests are taken. You can go to EdSite Public to view the ELAC contact information. If testing is started, the same test ticket must be securely sent, and again, the student must finish testing with that original ticket in the same test session. You can use the Tide Secure File Center to send the ticket securely. Remember, if the student does not use the original ticket under which they began testing, the student will not receive the overall score and will not be able to exit ELML status regardless of their scores. The ELAC at the new district will not be able to view the test session from the previous district. Test results for the student will remain in the previous district where the test session and the ticket were created in the portal. However, all test results for the student will follow the student in EdSite. If you need to check on a test completion for a student from another district, you can send the SACID only to me in an email with a request for information, and I will check for you. Lost links is not a time test, but there are some estimates by subtest so you can plan your testing. These times do not include setup activities. Subtests can be given in any order, although most people administer the test in the order listed on your screen. You do not need to give all the subtests on the same day. It's actually recommended to spread the test over several days, especially for younger children. We do ask that if you start a subtest, you finish it on the same day. Use your professional judgment in special circumstances. Test security is essential to ensuring the integrity of the test, the accuracy of the test results, and ultimately the success of this testing program. A secure test environment requires that ELACs and proctors protect test materials from being reviewed by students or teachers. Items or other secure test materials should never be shared before or after testing, nor should items be discussed. The lost links should only be administered through the password-protected testing environment of the DRC test delivery system unless directed otherwise by the CSDE. During testers, proctors should ensure that students do not have access to resources related to the content being tested. We can't stress enough that all phones and smartwatches, including earbuds, be removed during the testing. And lastly, the proctor should promote a quiet test-taking environment, void of talking or other distractions, and actively proctor the sessions. Test security and suggestions on how to prepare your testing environment are addressed at length in the Lost Links Test Administration Manual posted to the Connecticut DRC Lost Links webpage. Each session has its own directions, and proctors must administer all test items according to instructions provided in the online environment. Modifications or changes are not permitted and are considered inappropriate test practices and therefore a test irregularity. If any inappropriate test practices occur, they must be reported immediately so there's time to fairly address the situation. This includes the use of electronic devices and the sharing or mishandling of test materials. If a proctor demonstrates inappropriate proctoring, such as providing or modifying student answers, coaching students, or using secure test materials inappropriately, the ELAC should contact the Student Assessment Office immediately. We can be reached by phone or email. And we do recognize that errors occur during testing, which is why we have the appeals process. All appeals should be entered on the LostLinks appeals form, hyperlinked in the slide, and available on the Connecticut DRC LostLinks website. The ELAC should be the only one to enter the appeal in the form, and we say that really to avoid confusion. We also ask that you please stop testing the student in all domains until the appeal is approved. We work diligently on the appeals, and we will respond as quickly as possible. Some appeals are solved simply by unlocking the test. The ELAC can simply submit an appeal for an unlock, which allows that student to re-enter the same test where they left off. Other appeals are more complex and are usually done due to an administration error. These might require us to regenerate or clear the test, allowing the student to begin anew at item number 1. Because students are directly impacted by these types of errors, the CSDE does require documentation from the ELAC. And when you send us that information, please refrain from emailing students' names. Again, we ask that you use only the SACID in all communications unless you're using the TIDE Secure File Center to send documentation. The appeals process is detailed in Appendix B of the LostLinks Test Administration Manual, and please don't hesitate to contact a CSDE for guidance on potential test irregularities or next steps. Everything we cover in this training can be found on the Connecticut DRC LostLinks website. Bookmark this website. It's specific to Connecticut and contains valuable information for all ELACs and technology contacts regarding reference materials, training videos, and communication reminders. It's recommended that all ELACs register for the Student Assessment News. We expect ELACs to share the communication from the CSDE and DRC with staff, including district administrators for testing and the special ed director. Remember, as the ELAC, you are our point of contact in your district. Should you miss a communication, we post all important information on the Connecticut DRC LostLinks site and the Connecticut Assessment web pages, as well as the updated Connecticut portal. Please let your IT staff know that the DRC email address at datarecognitioncorps.com should be on the allow list, so important notices from DRC aren't blocked or quarantined or sent to the spam folder. We've provided a number of resources, all of which are hyperlinked here and available on the Connecticut DRC LostLinks webpage and the Connecticut State Department of Ed English Language Proficiency Assessment LostLinks page. Please note that these pages also contain numerous resources to support accessibility. Here is contact information for our team at the CSDE, and we are always available to answer any questions that you might have. And DRC can be contacted using the LostLinks Help Desk phone number or email address. Thank you.